Wilkinson, I have sat before me here a very, very brave lady. This lady has been through more heartache and upset and emotional turmoil than any of us could ever imagine. For the sake of this interview, I'm going to call her Julie, and that's also to protect her identity. Hello, Julie.
Hi.
Thank you for coming here, and hopefully you're going to tell your story, what you've been through, what your family's been through, the effect that it's had on you. So, shall we start from the beginning?
Yeah. From the beginning to start. I'll start from when my daughter was an intelligent, bright young lady, beautiful. She was at the top of the class for her subjects. She was a brilliant musician. She did other things that she was very good at as well. And then, unfortunately, she was a very loving child as well. Very, very loving. Always giving me cuddles and telling me how much she loved me. But then, unfortunately, she got in with the wrong crowd at the age of 12. And everything went sadly wrong. Atrociously wrong. She
was this around this? Did this happen at school, after school?
This she got in with a young gentleman, if I can call him that, and I wasn't happy about her being with this young gentleman. And he unfortunately, when I think back, introduced her to others in the same circle, and it went from bad to worse from there. No, he wasn't at her school. I couldn't even tell you, to be honest, where she met him, because she never told me.
Was he a lot older than her?
He was, actually. He was 9 years older than her. And that is one of the reasons I wasn't happy.
Absolutely,
with it.
Any parent would, yeah.
And of course, when your child goes out of the door, you trust them that they're going to be okay and everything, so you can't be watching them every 2 minutes of the day. You've got to give them some freedom to grow.
Yes.
But she got in with this young gentleman, and he introduced her to others, and that's when it started drastically going downhill. She went missing for days on end. She'd happen go for a day, she'd happen go for a week.
This was at 12 years old?
12 years old it started, yeah. And you'd ring the police up, and I think it got to the stage where, oh yeah, she'll be back eventually, because they'd had me ringing that many times. They got to know me, did the police. But they used to keep an eye out for her. But on the first occasion that she went missing, a friend of mine had to ring one of her relations up in another part of the country who's high up in the police to get some action on something done down here, which the morning after they were on about doing an appeal on the telly and everything.
So this really was serious, and this doesn't what just.
This was the first time it was very serious. The first time it was very serious, and but then they had a phone call, did the police, and they got told where she were, and they picked her up and brought her home. But the people that she had got involved with had got such a hold on her, she'd go again. She'd even climb down the wall, the drain pipe from the bedroom, from the hall stairs landing, and she'd climb down the drain pipe to get away.
So how do you think they got a hold of her? What were they buying her things? Were they giving her money?
They used to drive her around in their posh cars, I mean, that was one thing that I could never understand. A young girl of that age knew what sort of car it were when she saw one, what sort of exhaust it had on, what sort of wheels it had on, and there were all these big posh cars with young lads in.
So Julie, these people in the flashy cars, who are they? Were they people that lived locally? Were they your daughter's friends? Who exactly were they?
As far as my daughter was concerned, they were her friends. They were Asian young boys, and like I say, they had the big flashy cars, they had all the gold round them, they had the money. And one of them, I do know for a fact, was in his 30s. And I do know for a fact as well that he was a drug dealer. So I've only come to know this since my daughter went to a safe place. She was also used as a joey as well.
What's the joey?
That's exactly what I said to the police when they found the evidence of it in the house, which I didn't even know was there. A joey is somebody that they use for running drugs for them. That's what they call them, joeys.
So your daughter was 12 years old. The so-called boyfriend was 22, 21, did you say?
21, Asian.
One of the Asian guys was 30. The police knew all this, knew your daughter was involved, they knew that they were using it as a joey.
Yes.
What did they do?
Not a lot, unfortunately. Well, I don't think they did a lot anyway. They didn't do a lot from my point of view, which I presume they thought they were doing everything. They just kept an eye out for her all the time. And that was it, really. I think the police got sick of me ringing, because it would get to the case of my daughter would come home and she'd come home, have a meal, get changed and be gone again for a few days. So then I'd ring again. So then they'd come up again. They were never away from the house. Never away from the house. The Asians took her to Manchester. That I do know. And it was on a Friday night. And she was still only 12. And they brought her back on the Saturday morning. And they'd obviously dropped her in the middle of the town because she was walking up the street when I saw her coming. She came in and she was completely white. She was dirty. She was drugged up. And unfortunately, when she got changed and I went to wash her clothes, she'd blood in her knickers. Since then, only recently, my daughter has told me that she was actually raped, but wouldn't give no more information. So I wouldn't know who's done it or where it was done. That's something I'll have to wait until she's ready to tell me. But then she went again. They get such a hold on these young girls, and you see them. I see them even now in the back of their cars when I'm coming home of a night, and they're there with these young. They can't be no more than 12 or 13 themselves in the back of the Asian cars, and I see them in the shopping centre talking to them and making eyes at them, and all I want to do is shake them and say, this is what's happened to my daughter, do you want it to happen to you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So they get a hold of them. How? I mean, do they offer them money, or do they give them drugs? Is it jewellery?
They get them hooked on drugs. Some give them jewellery and buy them presents, come home with a couple of nice gold chains, and You know, where have you got them from? Oh, so-and-so's bought me them. And it'd be one of the Asians' names that she'd give me. And then they'd get them hooked on the drugs. And that's how they keep them, because then they get dependent. I mean, you know, she started stealing as well at that point, which she'd not done before. She'd never stolen before, but she started to steal from family. And that's, you know, that wasn't her. It was not her.
So all this is going on. I mean, to me, it sounds absolutely horrific. So you're going through this. Other members of your family would have been going through this. I mean, it must make a great big hole in your family, and you must have so many sleepless nights. You know, worrying days. How do you cope?
I found it hard to cope at the beginning. When my daughter had been taken to a safe place, I grieved. I grieved as though I'd lost her completely, even though I knew I hadn't. Even though she was still there, she'd gone. And I grieved for months, and I wouldn't go out, I wouldn't see anybody. I even shut my own family off for a while, who I must say had been quite supporting, and very supporting before she actually went. I even thought about killing myself, thinking it'd make things, she'd turn herself round then and be right. And in a sense I was blaming her and blaming myself, because I thought, well, she should be able to just say no. But how can a girl of 12 say no to gold, money, flashy cars?
Well, she doesn't really probably understand what's coming next.
No.
Because at that age they're so innocent, aren't they?
Yes, yeah.
So innocent. They see the good in everyone.
Yeah, they aren't grown up enough to be able to say no, I don't think. And I should imagine it would have been very, very daunting for her as well at the time. But the rest of my family, it did a lot to my mother. My mother was ill at the time, and it made her a lot iller, let's put it that way. My sisters, they were very, very supportive. Very, very supportive when I finally let them in.
Yes, yeah, I suppose you built a brick wall,
yes,
didn't you?
Yeah. She is working through everything. She's not going to ever be the daughter I had before all this started. Never. And it's taken me all this time to accept that. I'm never going to get my daughter back the way I wanted her, the way she was. Never.
So in effect, your daughter, you and your family have lost, what, 3 years?
Yes. We've lost 3 years of her life. She's lost 3 years of our life. She's had a member of the family die that she hadn't seen since she went to the safe place. She the Asians that did all this and that was involved in all this, I'm sorry to say, they, as far as I'm concerned, they took my daughter away from me. And that is how I feel.
Yeah, exactly so. And the authorities, from what I can gather, have let you down.
Yes.
But the school, I'm sure the school could have played a bigger part. Social services, police.
Yes.
There's all these authorities set up,
but none of them help.
They all failed. They failed you, they failed your daughter.
Yeah, I mean, there was a stage when there was a talking of her coming home. Yeah. And I rung the social services up and asked them what help I would get if she came home. Yeah. And they just told me that the only help I'd get any at all as if she went down the same road, and that's what she'd have to do first before I got any help. To me, social services in England, I don't know why they have them. I should imagine they do good somewhere, and I should imagine they do have success. But
so,
they didn't with my daughter.
No, I mean this grooming by the Asian men of young innocent white girls is going on, I believe, throughout the country.
Yes.
But it's still going on, it's still happening.
Yes.
And someone somewhere needs to stand up and say, right, enough is enough. It has to stop, because young innocent lives are being ruined. Families are being torn apart.
Yes.
You are one example. Julie, it's not for the first time that the British National Party has brought something that involves different races into the public domain. Other people seem afraid to. The feeling that I'm getting is that the authorities have failed you, failed your daughter. Do you think there's a reason? Do you think there's an underlying reason why they're failing to act?
I believe myself that the police are frightened.
Right.
Or somebody in the police authority is frightened of being called racist. Because when all's said and done, it's Asians that are doing it. But there again, if you got a set of whites doing it, they'd be down on them like a ton of bricks. That'd be fine. It definitely would be fine.
Yeah.
But because it's Asians, that's the way I believe anyway. That is my opinion after going through what I've been through.
Yeah. So you're speaking from experience.
Yes.
And this is often said that the police are restricted, through the Race Relations Act, things like that. They're not to be seen to doing anything bad for community relations. That community relations at the heart of their
Yes.
agenda. But we're talking real people here. We're talking
Yes.
real lives, real people.
Yes, and alright, it might upset the community, but it might save a life in the long run. And it'd be better being done sooner than later, because once it's too late, it is too late.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Julie. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.